I did my poetry.
But you like, well, I mean, like when you're talking though, as you're talking.
I've done a few podcasts and I've heard my voice. I'm like, yeah, okay, I kind of have a cute voice. That's what's up.
Right, you hear it and you're like,
Like,
damn,
I'm kind of
good.
hot.
It's kind of hot.
Yeah.
Well, we are live.
We're live. Hey.
Yeah, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
you're listening
you.
to the Derek and Friends podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for all up-to-date content. I am so thankful for you guys. It has been a journey. And my guest today, a very special guest who I have been dying, and the word dying is just understatement, to have on and sit down and talk to, because she's such a busy woman. She's got so much going on.
But I love you.
She has her own company. She runs her own business, runs it from the ground up, started in 2004. She's killing it. She's got so many things going on, as well as a lot of her dancers going on to do bigger, better things. She's got dancers all over the place, performing at Super Bowls. Good Morning Sacramento, doing those. It's just so much to talk about. But ladies and gentlemen,
you did your homework. I see
ladies
you,
and gentlemen,
boy.
I'd like to welcome Faye to the podcast. Thank
Hello.
you. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a journey to get
For
you here.
sure.
I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've actually tried to, like, hey, let's figure this out. You're like, yeah, for sure,
A
Derek.
year later.
For sure. 20, like, and then 6 months later, like, hey, Derek. I was like, I texted you 6 months ago. You're
And then
like,
here's me
shit.
texting you to remind myself to text you to book.
You did. No, legitimately, you did. What was it? The one time it happened.
After the last words
we were
event.
at one of the events, the last words, and I remember walking up to you, and I was like, "Hey, I texted you," and you looked at me like I was crazy.
Right. I was like, when?
You're like, "What are you talking about?" And I like pull my phone up, and I'm like, it's right
And
here.
it literally showed
And you
your
went,
text with me, no
"Fuck."
reply.
And
I'm a
like,
terrible human
"Hi,"
being.
And you're like, I'm so bad at that. I'm like, okay. Like, I think there's always a point in your life when you think people, it's not that they're ignoring you, but
No.
you always think like they're busy. They probably have stuff going on. You are probably the only person that I know of that would legitimately fall into that category. So
yeah, and
I
it's
don't
crazy
take it
because I'm
personally at
such
all.
a big person on communication too. And so what I really realize about that is that sometimes if I get 40 messages in a day, they get lost in the sauce, and then I forget to go back and scroll. So that's really what it boils down to. I'm not a terrible person, I promise you.
You try though. I love it.
Love it.
I love it. But first
Happy
of
to be
all,
here.
I'm happy you're here too. I have been a fan of your work for a while now, and a fan of
Thank
what you've been doing.
you.
I talk about your stuff a lot. I talk about some of the things you're doing, the events you're doing, and a lot of the energy you exude through your music and your students, for that matter. It really reflects. So I just wanted to bring you here and talk a little about your company, man. Like, what was the beginning point of that, and where did that start?
Oh man, so I grew up in the Bay Area. I think you knew that, and
Area.
you already know, boy. And I danced out there and trained out there, and then my parents were like, "We're gonna sell our house and move to Vacaville, buy a house twice as big, half the price. You're coming with us?" And I'm like, "Let me finish school, and then I'll move up after." So I stayed back for a little bit, and then I moved and was like, "Okay, where's the dance community?" Nowhere. And so I just started like looking around to find jobs to teach, because I was already dabbling in like just starting teaching in the Bay when I left. So started a couple programs through the city, started teaching anywhere I could. And then a couple years go by after building this recreational program, because I started in 2002 when I moved up here. By the end of 2003, I was like, maybe I should just start a like fun community team and do some shows. Like, why not? It would be cool to do on the side, kind of like not even thinking anything further than that. So I did. I sent out like invitation letters by mail, snail mail in 2004, and was like, "You are cordially invited to Bliss Dance Company." And so I picked the name Bliss. I was literally working at Sam Goody Music Store in Solano Mall. Okay. That was my little day job.
Let's go.
When I was going to Solano College, right, finishing up my whatever, GE, whatever it's called. And I'm sitting there like on the clock, bored because there was no customers, writing down a list of names I can create to call this company, and going through a thesaurus that I brought with me to work that day so I can figure out like
Dedication is what
I
that
was
is.
like, what am I gonna call this company? Phase Dancers, like just some corny ass names. Like, what am I gonna do? So I was like, I want it to be something that's one syllable. I want it to be something that means something positive and that's easy to cheer for when we're on stage. And I was just doing the math, and I'm like, Bliss. Like, how easy. Like, let's go Bliss. It's so simple and so positive. And I was like, okay, that's it. Like, it just struck me. And then at that point, like I said, I sent out letters and I invited like students who were committed to my rec program, and I created the company and started with a junior team and an older team and just kind of went from there and was like, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, this is cool. Years go by and I'm like, we have 100 kids. I think I need to do more
Wow.
than, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, I was sublet renting from everybody and their mama around Solano County. And then finally, I sublet rented from the Ramirez Martial Arts folks. I was with them for 3 years. So they gave me a great start. And then from there, I was able to lease out Bliss, where I'm at now, where I've been for, we just hit our 12-year
I was gonna say,
anniversary.
you've been there for a long time.
Yeah, so Bliss Dance Company is 19 years old, but we've been in the actual facility. I've had my own lease for 12, and then the rec program's 21 years old because we still have that.
That's awesome.
So it's just been, and every year it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And I was like, okay, this is what I want to for real do. This isn't no longer just a, let's do this for fun.
Before it was, yeah.
Because I was 20 years old when I moved here and started teaching classes, and everything was just like, I just love dance. I just love dance. But I didn't think it would be like something I want to do for real. Because culturally, I'm Palestinian. Growing up, it was like, get a real job, go to school, you know, do the things, get married, have babies. But I was I'm the tie-dyed black sheep, or whatever you call it. You know what I mean? I'm like I'm like the one who just breaks the norm. Like, that's not me. Like, I already knew I didn't want to have children, but I love children and I love teaching them, but I didn't want to have any. And like, I didn't care if I got married young or older because I wasn't going to have kids. So why did it matter? And like, you know, so for me, it was like art is all I cared about. And so originally I was in school for social work, and I did a year and a half at Sac State and realized I'm like, I don't want to do this. I want to do social work in a different way. And I do social work, but through dance. I totally do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm a mentor. I'm a mama. You know what I'm saying?
You do a lot more than just teach dance.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. Like, it's more important for me to teach them how to be people.
I think the message that I've sat down and talked to a lot of your students. You know, I've sat down, you know, talked to Nick, talked to Jerron. I'm going to try to have more people on here as well. And they got nothing but positive things, not just about the dance, not just about the choreography and the music, but just life lessons in general.
For sure.
You know, you know, it's very difficult for these days to find that kind of structure, because I know a lot of kids now, it's hard because there's social media is a whole new crazy thing. And when I was growing up, I didn't really have any social media. I mean, God, when I was
I had a pager my senior year in high
fucking
school, bro.
First thing I ever experienced in my life was fucking when Facebook came out. And I remember my first...
Nah, bro, MySpace. Top 8. Stop playing.
God, I forgot about that.
When you can pick a song in the background and shit. And then your friends would be hella mad if they weren't number 1 of 8.
That's
like,
right.
get the
I
fuck
forgot
out of
it
here.
was
Then you can do a
MySpace.
top 32, and then your friend was mad if they were number 33. Like, get out of here. It was like the
That was
beginning of
real.
hell.
I forgot about that. Yeah, MySpace.
Jesus.
It's been so long since I even considered that idea of MySpace. I'm like, shit.
Get out of here.
Oh my goodness. But I think it's good to have structure nowadays, and
sure.
in some format or something, you know. Dance is one of those things that, you know, how I, for instance, how I met Jerron was I wanted to learn how to isolate and do all that kind of stuff. Right. The random is we worked together at Brennan Theaters.
I remember.
And he was like, hey, I'll come by the studio and I'll show you. And I think that was probably your studio. Or
Yes,
something.
Bliss.
A small little studio.
It was the checkered floor. It was Ramirez Martial Arts.
Oh.
I'm forever indebted to that family because they let us use that space for 3 years. And yeah, that was probably the first space you met him at. Yeah.
He literally brought me in and showed me how to isolate muscle, like how to dance.
I love that for you.
Pop
and lock. Were you popping locking, Derek?
It was so fun, to be honest with you, at the time, because I was like so young and ambitious and just wanted to do anything to be.
Love it.
You know, and he worked with me at Brendan, and he was doing his whole like turfing and all kinds of weird stuff. He was doing
Crump.
Yeah, he was doing crump. That's right. And it was cool. I thought it was all really fun. And then I realized I can't dance, so I just stopped doing that and focused more on my music, which has always been my
Love
passion.
it.
So
yes, and you're so great at it.
Which brings me to say thank you for having me on Words.
Oh my God! First time you came in there and started singing, I'm like, who the fuck is this white boy? Why is he so talented? Where the hell is he been hiding?
Well,
I
like
was so mind blown.
Thank you for that. And also, I don't talk about it enough. Honestly, there's a lot of things that I do. And I have done with my music career in a sense to where I've played shows and I've gone out and done a lot of things, but there's never been a place where I can go just be myself on stage in a way, because a lot of times when you go on stage and perform, it's a rehearsal. You've rehearsed and you just practice, practice, and you go up there and it's like robot mode.
Yes.
Whereas whenever I go and perform at your place, it's not robot mode. It's like I get to feel the crowd.
Go
I
with the
get
flow.
to feel like the
vibe,
the change of the sound. Everything's different. I go up there and I perform a song that's more feels. You know, it's like I go up there and I feel it out. It's not like, for instance, the way I performed the last two songs. Those are not the way I perform them if I was going to perform with a band.
Right.
That's just my version of how I wrote it. So
that's art, baby.
Right. And that's the cool part about your setup. I mean, I posted pictures about it, and remember somebody asked me like, dude, that's a pretty cool layout. And I'm like, yeah, it's very relaxed, it's chill. The people who come there come there for the artist. It's not, they don't show up to drink all the wine, get shit faced, and then just talk. You know, it's not a bar. It's not a bar. Right. You know what I mean? And I performed in bars, and it's just like, okay,
it's different energy.
It's a different vibe. People aren't there to hear the music; they're there to get drunk. And hey, no knock to them, guys. You know, get hammered. Hey, it's all good, man. Just cheer for us in the end. You know,
hey, right?
Fucking clap your
Show
hands
us some love, motherfuckers.
But
we're sensitive about our shit.
It's a great thing, and if anybody ever has an opportunity to and it wants to get involved in that, it's such a really great opportunity. From novice to experienced musicians or dancers, spoken word,
everything, comedy, singers, dancers.
I know we did. That was one time we did comedy.
We had a live band a few times.
Yeah, you had who else did you have? You had someone else do comedy there once, and I was like, okay, let's go. Like, let's see.
Switch up the hosts once in a while, so I get a break. It's fun. But yeah, the event's called Words, and we do it every other month, and we've been doing them since technically 2005. But once we opened Bliss, we started officially doing them in 2011.
Did Words start from like a
and it was
in the house, like in the apartment thing, or what?
Ramirez Martial Arts, the checkered floor spot. Okay. So the first one I ever threw was there, and I called the event "Listen."
Okay.
Right?
Listen.
First one I ever threw was Listen. Boy, you feel me. I had some fire show names, right? So I called it Listen, and it was like the first one ever. And then I threw one at Missouri Street Theater in Fairfield once, and all my theater folks came out to that one. And that was like pretty much sold out. And then once I opened Bliss, I said, I want to bring back that poetry event I did. And I was like, what should I call it? It needs to have a new name, new everything. And I was like, Words. Because music has words, poetry has words, everything has. I don't know,
dancing still has
everything is words. It's words. They're all words. I was just like, this is it. Words. A night of poetry, music, and dance is what I call the event. So, yeah, you can submit and let me know if you want to participate. And I always give everyone a first chance, even if they're trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's some young kid who really just has a terrible track.
I will tell you this.
Go ahead, bro. Pull up. I'm going to let you do your thing.
I will tell you an experience where I've seen this firsthand, where people have gone up and done this. Okay? I have been one of those kids, so hear me out.
But it's great.
I watched this kid play at a winery, like it was downtown Vacaville. It was a wine tasting thing or like a wine bar thing. And this kid went up on stage. He was dressed the part. He had, everything was good. The guitar sound was great, but his lyrics were just not there.
No.
But his energy was.
Okay.
So he had that really good energy. Like, yeah, he was great. You could just tell, like, he wanted to be there and he was trying.
He was starting out, right?
Exactly. Sure. Yeah. He was new to it. And I remember after the show, like, it wasn't, I remember walking up to him and going, hey, man, I just want you to know, man, that was killer. And he was like, thanks, dude. Like, I go, yeah, it was, you got the energy, right? You got the energy. Just keep working, keep grinding.
Yeah.
Because I remember for me as an artist, it was hard for me to get up and do certain things like that because I practiced so much. I practiced a lot of my just doing the same thing over and over until I mastered it, and then I moved on.
Right.
And I didn't really know where I was until I started working with other musicians, and they were like, "Oh, Jesus! Like, you can just put it all together and be ready to go." It's just like I was telling Nick, he can put things together pretty quickly.
Yes.
I'm different.
He produced both albums.
Yeah, he's fire. He can just get things going. Shout out to Candid, man.
Yeah, for real.
You're legit as fuck, man.
Fucking nuts.
But he's got this ability to just put things together so quickly, and I'm a little different. I have to write the music first, and then the words have to come to me. Like, the best way for me to write would be having a couple cocktails, get the brain in that weird sense of mind. Like, the other night, I was out here, I'm writing a new song, and my roommate, he leaves his door open sometimes when I'm playing guitar because he just we've been friends for a long time. So
dude, I live right behind you, bro. I hear you practice all the fucking
do you?
time.
That's awesome.
I'm in the kitchen, like vibing out, sipping tea, like listening to you rehearse. I'm like, shit,
tight.
okay.
Thank you. But like there was a time last night I was writing a song and I literally got done with just jamming out, go lay down on my bed, and then my brain is firing on all cylinders, and I'm like, I got up, and over on my kitchen counter right now is a envelope for like a bill, and I just took a Sharpie and wrote down lyrics. That's how I write lyrics. It's on an envelope, like or like mail.
But it's the live music. It was going into your cells, and
Something
it awakened something within you. I'm hella spiritual when it comes to art.
Yeah,
like
it's so strange.
It just pulled you out of who you are. You know what I'm saying?
And,
I love it.
And my process is after that happens, I get up, I write it down. And I remember he asked me, "How do you know the melody?" I'm like, "Well, I already have the entire song melody written in my head. I just have to find the right words." And sometimes we'll go back to words. When you find those words, it just comes to me. It's really strange. Like, I know some people like have to put this philosophical story together, and it's just John. And you know what? There are great writers who can do that.
No, I'm
I
similar
don't
to you.
consider myself that way at all. I just put my feelings on paper, and then at that point tie it into a song, and then go,
or
shit.
Try to rhyme it if necessary, or whatever.
A lot of my stuff does do that, follow in that rhyme scheme, but I try to make it sound more telling like a story than it is just kind of. There's been times where I've written songs where it's just like, I'm just gonna get really drunk and write this song, and it's gonna be great. And it turned out one of my best songs I wrote was called All Along. I got hammered drunk. I got broke up with my girlfriend, got hammered drunk, and
hey, heartbreak's the best fucking art.
Spent 3 weeks drinking, and then wrote this amazing song. And to this day, my friends all think that's one of my
Some
greatest
of my
songs.
favorite poems are from the worst shit I've ever been through in my life. That's facts. That's art, baby. That's art.
You draw a lot of inspiration from tragedy and hard times, because a lot of the times when we experience these things, there has to be some form of outlet we have to go through, right?
For sure.
And the outlet 9 times out of 10, at least for me, would be my music, right? That's my outlet. There are days where I don't want to play music, but then there are days where I'm like, give me that shit, or I'm thinking about getting home and playing guitar.
Yeah.
Or I'm thinking about just getting home and doing
writing
this
or whatever
it is. But it all has a meaning in some weird way. I can't see myself not playing an instrument anymore. I can't see myself not playing guitar or not doing this, because it's been
a part
so
of who you are.
you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the things that you do, it kind of amazes me, because you start with your company, you start with your album, your poetry, all the stuff you're doing. It's really cool, man. I mean, I've always been a fan, and I've always watched your stuff. I've always been there to see you perform it live, because I think you do a really great job. All your dancers are fucking amazing.
Yeah, they're disgusting.
They're all moving on to do their own.
Yeah, dude. Like, you know what I mean?
They're all moving on to do their own thing now, and which is fantastic. Because I remember going there when I was 20, I think I was 25, 24, and seeing them all like younger, and just kind of starting out, and they were fire then, you know. And now I'm seeing.
Dude, I toot their horn all day.
Say,
maybe I'm a biased dance mom, but I got the most talented dancers in Solano County and probably California. I'm just biased. I don't give a fuck. They're so talented.
Okay.
Good. They'll eat half these motherfuckers out here. I don't care.
Yeah. That's good.
Dancers are the shit.
Be confident. I'm all about that life, man. It's that bliss life, man.
Yeah,
like, what's up? Yeah. What's good? I mean, I see you guys going to competitions. I know you guys are doing that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
So when was your last competition?
We had one in December. We took all the teams out there, and they did really well. Came back with like 3 or 4 awards. That was cool. Yeah, so we compete like it's not the main focus. We compete maybe anywhere between 3 to 5 times a year, depending on which team and which competition and the age groups and all the things. And then for the most part, we do lots of community events and, like pro bono gigs, like for the community. We do a lot of that. Okay. And then we also get booked for quite a few paid gigs that my advanced dancers will get paid to go do. So like they'll give Bliss the check, but I'll break it up and I'll pay the dancers flat out. Like, I want them to earn income for dancing. So we get a lot of paid gigs. And then of course I produce my shows like Words and like my 2 showcases every year, and Creations, which is a student showcase, and things like, and my recreational program, we have their shows. So I produce easily almost 20 shows a year on top of all the things they get booked for, the classes and the pop-up classes and whatever other events are going on and all that. It's a lot.
I was going to say, you got a lot going on. I mean, that's a good thing.
It is. And, I started everything so young that I remember, as an individual artist, I wanted to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G. But when I started Bliss, it was kind of like when somebody has a child, right? When you create a business, it's your baby, right?
Yeah.
So of course I never had a child and chose not to, but what I realize is that Bliss is my child because I put everything about myself to the side to raise it, right? And it wasn't until probably after like a breakup in my mid 30s where I was like, man, I put so much of like me as an artist to the side to blossom Bliss, but like I'm a fucking artist too. So like I remember at that point I created like separate accounts for everything on social. Like I didn't just have my account be all Bliss. I separated Bliss and had a Bliss account for everything separate from me and started pushing the fact that I'm an individual artist because I can host. I do stand up. I've done sketch comedy. I have a bachelor's in theater arts. I've been writing poetry since 1999. There's so many things I'm capable of doing that I put on the back burner.
Sure.
And so I was like, now that my baby is growing and I have amazing staff that I trained to become staff,
Sure.
I can take a step back and dive back into my art. And then around that time, mid 30s or closer to later 30s, I was like, man, I want to now start taking care of my mind, body, and spirit. Started boxing, started dropping weight,
That's awesome, by
dropped
the way.
60 pounds. Yeah, I've been training for 3 years, boxing, kickboxing, and then now conditioning and weight training and all these things. Because now I'm like, I want to work on my physical. I can't keep giving and not recharging my own battery, right? And then so changed up my eating, changed up everything from like what I put in my body, what I put on my hair, what I put on my skin. Literally started going to seminars, self-care this, self-care that, self-help books, everything. And like I've literally 180'd. Like anyone who knew me 5 years ago doesn't really know me anymore.
Okay.
Like literally. And I wouldn't be able to do those things if I didn't build up my staff to be able to just
Right.
handle shit when
Yeah,
I'm
you
not
brought them
around.
to that level, so now they can.
Yeah. You know, and so I'm grateful for them and I'm super, super blessed for all that because now I'm able to have best of both worlds. I can raise my baby and watch my baby blossom, but I can also be Faye, the artist, not just Faye, the owner of Bliss,
Sure.
you know? So that's been a big shift for me over the last 6-7 years-ish.
Yeah, I
that
was going to
whole
say
shift.
when I first initially saw that you were going through that process. I mean, you obviously you're doing your boxing, which is fantastic. Is it Punch with a Purpose?
Punch with Purpose,
Punch with
yeah,
Purpose,
based
there it
out
is.
of the Vallejo Powell boxing gym.
I was going to say they're probably right next to where I'm at. I'm like I don't
Oh,
know.
where
I
you
don't
work?
know. I work off of.
Yeah, I've been to that Walmart.
I was going to say I work
Yeah.
over there, so I'm right by there.
Yeah.
I remember talking to Jerron about it a couple times, and was like, "Hey, we got to get that guy to come in and hang out and talk on the podcast. I'd love to hear
For
his story
sure,
as well."
Tyler. Coach Tyler's amazing, and I'll be sparring at a live event this Friday. Actually,
Oh, really?
yes, for my
Oh, shit.
first live sparring
Look
event.
out.
It's not a real fight or anything like that, but you know I've been treating it like that.
Sparring's
I'm in
important,
fight camp
though.
right now.
You got to get the right looks, though. It's like, you can train as much as you want, but until you get the right looks in the feel of like, oh, actually, there's someone in front of me who wants
Yes.
to hit me in the face.
Who wants to actually hurt my face? And my face is cute, so I
Like-
gotta protect my
like-
shit.
No, what was
Yeah,
it?
but I'm so excited. It's my sis. You know, she's been training there for about a year too, and so like us working together, like we really make each other better. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just gonna
Good.
be a fun night. Like we train with each other all the time anyway, so now we get to do it in front of people. So I'm like, oh, lit.
I think those kinds of things, though, are really important to have. Like, they say go to the gym, work out, run. I think there's a lot to do with any kind of martial art and any kind of format it is, whether
Combat
it's
sports,
boxing,
yeah.
combat sports. Because one, it teaches you a lot about you and what you're able to take and
God,
endure.
yeah.
And then two, it kind of like clears your mind to where you have to not only be in the moment, but you also have to be kind of conscious of like, how do I say it? You have to be able to, like, you're reading somebody. There's constant like movement going
Science.
on.
It's really.
It's strange. It's a dance.
They
It's a
compare it to dance all the time when I'm training. They're like, you're a dancer. And I'm like, this shit is the polar opposite of dance, bro. Like my mind. But what I will say is when I first started training, this is kind of personal, but it was a strange trauma response when I had to learn defense just because of like previous abuse, So like that was the hardest thing to conquer because I was always afraid. Like I would always turn away when being swung at instead of defending myself and coming in. And so that alone was such a shift mentally for me. Like boxing, it's less about like the physical science, learning the mechanics. It's been more of a whole mental game for me than anything. It's made me grow as a person and made me not just physically stronger and physically like trying to be sharper with my eyes, but mentally stronger. Like because it makes me realize what I'm capable of.
More
My
confident.
confidence. And because even when I first started, I was heavier and I had less confidence than I do now. I still had confidence as a plus size woman, and I still thought I was beautiful, but I feel way much more confident now, not just because I lost weight, but honestly because of what I learned with the mindset stuff that you learn there. You know what I'm saying? And I think combat sports really, it's really like it's for you or it's not. Like for some folks, I don't know,
Yeah.
you know?
They're
And
just
it's
not used
like,
to getting punched in the face,
and
man.
yeah,
That's just how it
you
is.
know, it's one of those things. But, and I didn't think it was for me in the beginning because of like my self doubt and my low confidence and all that. And so over time, I'm like, no, this could be for anybody. It's all about how you change your mindset and
Right.
how you apply it to your daily life.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing. And that's just like when I go to fucking seminars like Tony Robbins. I remember going to one of his seminars and I was crying for 48 hours straight because it was like this life-changing mind, you know. And so if it wasn't for that, I would have gone to boxing and I probably would have crumbled and not known how to like continue. But you see what I'm saying? But because I worked so hard on my mind, I was able to apply those life lessons and not just take it for this fear I had or this trauma response as a child, you know? So it's literally life changing. And I owe Tyler and Nico, my coach who passed, so much. So much. I owe them so much for what they've taught me over the last 3 years. Literally, I'm also indebted to those two.
Wow. No, it's great that you're doing it though, because a lot of times physical exertion is such a great thing for your mind and body in general. I mean, you having to put all your effort into one thing and my thing right now, I play golf. I don't know. It's just one of my things I do.
love it.
It's very mental. It has nothing
Yeah,
to do with
no, I hear that too.
whatever.
I do.
But it's absolutely incredibly different from boxing.
For sure. But
boxing is much more intense.
Hey, there's still a twist in the hip, brother.
But,
I'm knowing.
but for the sake of, I get it. I get the physical exertion, the focus, the cardio, everything you're doing. As you know, when you realize, like the last time I punched a heavy bag, I just for a joke put on gloves and hit it. I was tired, but probably within about 30 to 45 seconds.
Imagine like 12 rounds, 3 minutes each.
And I went, holy shit! I had a whole new respect for boxers, UFC fighter, all those guys. Anybody who in combat sports where you're swinging your appendages as hard as you can.
Shit, dude.
Muay Thai, Thai fighters, all kinds of shit.
I don't know how the MMA dudes do it because I train at Train for Life as well, not as often. Those motherfuckers are beasts, man. Shout out to Sonny and the gang.
Do you know how they do it? They're fucking savages.
They don't give a fuck. They see red.
Right.
Like I'm already in the gym. Like, oh my god, I have to throw my hands and defend my face. Throw my hand. They're over here with knees and elbows and fucking feet and shit. I'm like, god damn it, I can't even keep track of my hands. Like. Yeah. Y'all are a whole other breed of human.
It's true, and I think the biggest thing, like when it comes to that, I mean, I'm a big fan of MMA, and this podcast kind of started on sports and MMA because my friend Tyler and I would do a lot of podcasts about that stuff. But we would, I mean, I've always been a fan of it, and I listen to quite a bit of when it comes to MMA stuff, and it's just so intriguing to hear some of these guys. You know, you would think they're, you know, because they're MMA fighters that they're just mean, aggressive people. Like, no, they are some of the nicest people in the world.
Cool.
They're so nice. They're fucking savages and they're straight killers, bro. Like, you don't ever want to.
Yeah, but there's two sides to every coin.
Right.
Like, it's just like I have 50% namaste, 50% I'll fuck your bitch ass up. You know, that's me. You know what I mean?
Yes. And my point to that is, there's something to say about having the strength and confidence to be able to handle a situation, but also being able to tame that.
Yes.
I think there's something to say about, you know, you just saying, oh, I'm not going to do something about it, and you can't do something about it is like, well, fuck, you just saying that. But when someone says, oh, you know what, I could handle this, I could take care of this, but I'm not. It's like that control is so important. I think a lot of times when, you know, you talk about kids and people and people who are ignorant to that kind of thing, and they just want to go out and get in fights at bars and shit and start shit. you realize like when you get into mixed martial arts, it teaches you respect,
Yeah.
you know, respect for not only yourself, but for your opponent, respect for situations that are going to happen, and understanding of what you're really doing, you know? And I think that's really a really important thing. There was a point in my life where I wanted to go out and start doing jiu-jitsu, and I tried and got strangled by a 12-year-old girl, and I
For
was like,
sure.
I'm done.
And you got your ass.
Yeah,
Took.
I'm going to say that on the podcast. I don't give a
No,
fuck.
for
I
sure.
stuck around after a Taekwondo thing. They were
I could
doing
probably
some
get
shit.
beat up by a 12-year-old boxer
Dude,
girl, I'm sure.
I swear to God, I was sticking around. The guy goes, "Hey, you want to stick around?" I'm like, "Sure." And I thought I was strong, and they put me on the ground. I'm like, "You're gonna roll," and I go, "What's?" And my sensei was like, "You're gonna roll with this young girl," and I'm like, "Oh, how old?" He's like, "She's 12 or 13, one of the two, doesn't matter."
And she beat your ass.
Bro, she strangled me like I was a fucking like a nobody. I literally was like, this is what, yeah. And I remember after that, I'm like, you know what? Maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah, you know, there's this quote, and I don't remember who said it or how it actually goes, but it was something along the lines of, you should rather want to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in war.
Okay.
You know, something along those lines, and I don't remember it verbatim, but what it tells me is you want to be able to, like you said, have that power, that strength, that intensity, but not, and to control it and not be able to use it, instead of being somebody who doesn't have any of that and then be put in a predicament.
Because you're just, yeah.
Because then you're fucked.
Yeah,
and, you know, applying that in your life.
In a sense, you're kind of, and I'm not going to say this in a negative way, but you're just weak, unfortunately. If you're not going to do something, or you can't do something, it's worse than being able
you
to.
just being able to and controlling it. It's a whole other mindset.
It is. And, you know, I follow, just recently, there's a big fight coming up. It's a John Jones. He's on his way back. I'm sure, I don't know if you know who that is, but he's probably the GOAT of the greatest fighter of all time, pound for pound. And he's making his comeback to heavyweight. And that's in March 4th, and it's going to be a really, really exciting fight, to say the least. But one of the things that I followed in his career was not only was he the best of all time, but he had this strange sense of confidence whenever he dealt with anybody. You know, when they would do their weigh-ins, and, you know, they do the face-offs, he wouldn't even look at him in the face. He's just like, I don't need to look at you. You're not worth my time. He had this incredible confidence about him. And this guy he's a savage. He's great. Greco-Roman wrestler. He's one of the greatest of all time, man, pound for pound. He's undefeated. The only time he lost was because of a disqualification, and himself. That's the one time he's ever lost, is to himself. And one of the things that I'm expecting to see is, I want to know how that confidence is going to happen, because he's been out of the game for so long. He got popped for fucking taking shit and, you know, performance enhancing, and it was this huge long turmoil that went through with his career. But one of the things that I like, and I watched an interview of him explaining, he's like, wrestling gave me confidence, and I realized that I can handle certain things now.
Yeah, definitely.
Before, there's that fear of, like, I don't know what to do. And the fear that I equate to it, and I understand what he means, is like fearing an outcome because you can't control it.
Yes.
And that is a scary fucking thing to think about. When a lot of people go through. A lot of people react in certain ways because they don't understand how to deal with it. Right?
Yes, and it's just a response. It's a fear response.
Yeah,
you know,
it's fight or flight. You know, that's the response you get. So,
but once you control your mind,
and understand like what you have to do, and that's why all these.
Then you don't react as much. You take time to respond.
It's these combat sports are what help you to understand.
100%.
And it helps you like find you in a way, you know?
And I apply that to all my students in Bliss for the last 19 years. You can ask any kid that came through my program, like literally it's all about working on the mind and discipline and respect and work ethic. It's the same idea. We just apply it in a different way. But I was just preaching to them kids yesterday about, like, you know, you are self-sabotaging when you're shy and you hold yourself back. Like, I'm giving you the seeds. I need you to water them. You know, like, the opportunities are there. Are you going to take them? You know, apply yourself. If you don't, then somebody else will, you know, those types of lessons. And these are things that I'd rather them take into the future instead of knowing that they one time won a first place award at some fucking competition with a plastic trophy. Who gives a fuck about, you know, like, we win trophies. We have hundreds.
You're going to have moments of height and moments of decline. And I think the moments of failure have so much more weight to your success. Like, every time I've gone up and failed at something or done something bad or whatever, I'm like, shit. I remember when I was younger, it was hard for me to interpret that. When I got older, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. And they're like, What do you
No.
mean good? I'm like, it's good that I went
I'm
through this and
learning.
failed.
I'm learning.
Because now I know what I have to do next time.
Yeah,
And it's going to be better.
100%.
And then you go through it again and again and again. And then it gets dialed in.
Yeah.
So like, for instance, if you go perform, and that show didn't go very well, well, guess what? There's going to be another show. Just go practice and work on it and come back and do it again.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it's going to get better. Now, in my youth, I had a lot more time, more shows and everything like that. So it was a lot easier. Now I get to just refine my stuff here and then just go out and perform.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you're younger and you think you have that self-doubt, I guess you could say, that little thing, that voice in the back of your head feels like, no, maybe they're going to hate it. It's like, no, you got to tell that voice, shut the fuck up.
Yes.
And go up there and do it. And be scared and be afraid to walk up there and do it. Go for it.
Because they're not fucking doing it. You're already bold enough for getting up there.
That fear and anxiety that you feel is completely healthy. Dude,
Yeah.
we were fucking designed to be running away from fucking animals in the forest.
Straight up.
Like, we were not meant to be living in fucking big ass houses and all this.
Wearing shoes.
For
Why are we
real.
wearing shoes?
We were meant to do that. And
Yeah,
that
no, I get it.
anxiety and that feeling of fear
Everyone's
is
so
normal.
disconnected. Yes.
It's normal.
Yes, it's normal.
I was just, it's normal for us to feel that way. And if we're not feeling that way, we start to get anxiety. It's weird. We start to feel that way because we're so like, oh, well, I'm going to stay in my little Kwanzaa hut and just not do anything and just eat my Twinkies and drink beer and be happy. It's like, you're not going to be happy doing that. Because eventually what's going to happen is you're going to go, well, fuck, I didn't go out there and do that. I didn't go do this. Everyone else is doing stuff and I'm not. And that was kind of like my idea was like, hey, I'm going to go do stuff. And I was ambitious and joined a band at 21 and did all that.
Yes,
It was so much fun.
Yeah, I took every risk too.
And I tried. And there was I remember we played one show where fucking the amps didn't work. And we were like, hey, I'm just going to play guitar and let's just figure it out.
Totally get it.
And we figured it out. Was it
the
atrocious?
fuck out.
Absolutely. But was it worth it to go through the experience with my group of guys? We did it.
Yeah.
We did it as a team. And they were like, Derek, the fact that you kept playing the show, I'm like, hey, the show goes on, baby.
The
Let's
show
go.
always goes on.
I'm not going to stop this. It's not all about me. It's about us.
It's about the audience too. Like, who are you performing for?
Right.
Like, I always tell my kids that too. Like, if you can't put yourself in the position of what the audience sees, then are you really a performer? What are you up there for?
Yeah.
You're up there not performing for 500 empty chairs. You're up, if you are a performer, you are absolutely the most selfless person because everything that you practice and rehearse is for the sake of other people's enjoyment.
Right.
Think about it.
I mean, shit, you could go home and do your own fucking thing and you could just sit
Absolutely. Everything you do as an artist is for the sake of other people's enjoyment. Enjoyment, not just like, oh, this thing. It's like, I'm here to entertain you with my craft, whether it's making you cry, laugh, whatever. That reminds me when you said the thing about failure, because I did stand-up comedy 3 times in my life.
That's hard to get into.
Oh God, the first time, because I'm
How did that
I'm
feel?
gonna tell you right now, right?
God, this is good.
Because I got my degree in acting, so like I know how to write a motherfucking script, right? So for me, the first time I did my 5-minute set, I basically wrote a monologue, and I just made a bunch of jokes into like this monologue that I memorized. Because I'm like, I'm a theater person. This is just what I know, so I'm gonna just kind of go with it. And of course, the jokes were not hysterically funny, but they were funny for me, right? And I had like 20 of my friends come out, so they hyped me the fuck up, made me sound like I was fucking.
Shout out to her friends for being fucking legit.
I'm Chris Rock that
That's
night.
what I'm
You know what I'm
talking
saying? Right. So that was cool. The second time I did it, I don't think I planned the same way. And even though I had jokes that were funnier and that I liked, my delivery wasn't there, and I was disappointed in myself. It was my timing. So then the third time that I got booked to do comedy, I promised myself, like, I'm going to be funnier and I'm going to go for it, because the second time I wanted to say kind of like some raunchy jokes, like some funny shit. And I just got too nervous to do it because I was afraid of judgment. And here I am, like, sabotaging myself. I could have been funnier, but I was just like, oh, what if? Who gives a fuck, right? So the third time I just went balls to the walls, and like I felt like it was a lot funnier, and it wasn't my whole crowd. It wasn't all my friends in there, and they were cracking the fuck up, and I'm like, let's go. Like, that was from the failure, the success. I kind of call it that,
That's what it is.
In that moment. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to I remember when I was growing up, my dad always told me, like, you're going to lose games in sports. You're not going to be good at something right away. Yeah. And that's important. If everyone just could do everything, it wouldn't have any relevance. It wouldn't have anything to it. Nothing, no tangibility, no connection, nothing.
Nothing
So
feels
whenever
earned.
Right. So when I started
Excuse me.
learning new things and skills and sports and stuff like that, like guitar, when I was learning that, God, I fucking hated playing guitar because it hurt. I was developing calluses and I was playing the same shit over and over. But then it got to a point where it became, I started to make it more about, okay, now I learned this. Now I can figure it. Oh, okay. Now I got this down. Now I'm going to practice this until I don't even think I'm playing it. Like now, I don't think about the chords
No.
anymore. I just in my
Damn,
head,
I'm taking piano right now.
like that's tough.
And
That's
I've been
tough.
doing it for 7
That's hella
months,
tough.
and I'm such a slow learner, bro.
No,
I'm like,
that's one of the harder ones.
yes, it is.
Because you're sequencing. I know I was
Yeah,
doing it.
but I can relate because I'm like, oh my God, like, this is super challenging, super hard. And I couldn't, I'm still such a slow learner at it, but you're never too old to learn new tricks. And piano has been on my bucket list forever. So I was like, what the fuck am I waiting for? It's only once a week for 30 minutes. Go.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It's tough.
It is,
And
but I
the
love
biggest
it.
thing what I learned from piano right away was that my muscles changed. So,
Yes. You have to like keep your hands
like,
a certain
like
placement.
when I would play guitar, I got used to the muscles I used to play guitar, and they're different. It's different. So when I would play piano, it's all about form. It's all about making sure because you don't want to use any of the muscle because you got to get these muscles in a certain way strengthened so you can play, and you got to stretch. And it's really weird because you're like, that's a stretch. Like, yeah, I got to do this. And
yeah.
And I would learn that. And I did that. I played the piano for probably like 2 or 3 months, really consistently, was practicing. And then I went back to guitar, and the finger strength was like almost
Better, probably.
It was gone from that guitar. Like, it was weird.
Oh, okay.
It was gone because it's different kind of finger strength. Whereas I'm like squeezing the frets or pushing down.
Okay.
It's different. Like I'm really working those muscles.
Oh,
It's
okay.
weird. Totally
Nice.
different.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is tough. I'd actually have to go back and forth. And that was the hard part. Going back and forth from guitar to piano because guitar was my fun little happy place, and the piano was like, God, I hate this.
Challenging as fuck.
Yeah, and I had to go back and forth, and it was just so difficult.
Yeah.
And
it does not come natural to me.
But it's an amazing tool to use, especially when you're trying to figure out different keys you want to play in. You can easily drop down an octave, or you can go over here and do something, and that's the beauty of it. And it's a really beautiful instrument. It sounds great. Another instrument I love is the ukulele. I love that. That's another one I have. I love doing that. I picked that up just randomly because it sounds so good.
Yeah.
And it's fun. It's very relaxed, mellow. Island life. I've always been a fan of island life. So I was like, hey, I'm going to add that to my repertoire.
I love it.
Repertoire of stuff to do. So
right.
I love it. It's a lot of fun. But music's always been a huge passion of mine. It's always been something that's been a part of me in some shape. From the beginning, when my dad got me up on stage singing karaoke at 9 years old, I was singing "Leave On" by Elton John.
Out of here!
He got me on stage with all his Marine Corps buddies or whatever the fuck, and was like, "Get up there and sing." And then that was it. That's how it started. So, and that was the birth of like, hey, this is something new. And I love every second of it.
That's funny you say that. Even with like my poetry, remember when I was saying earlier about like I kept putting things on the back burner. I had literally binders of poems collecting dust, and I said to myself like,
you said that
bucket list was to really just put it out there for the universe to hear it. Like I don't care if I make $1. Like I don't care. I just
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I have that same kind of concept when it comes to my music as well. I don't. I got into an argument with a friend of mine about it. Funny enough, it was on like a side podcast I never posted, but like he got mad because he was like, "Oh, I want you to you want to have radio play?" And I'm like, "No, I don't need radio play." And it was like, "Wow, I think you should get man blah." And we got into this weird back and forth where it was like, "You should have it, man. You should be great." And I was like, I don't necessarily need to do that to be great. Anything. What if I just want to be me and then something happens? Like what? I'm okay with that.
If that's what
but I'm
you
okay
want.
with not. Like I've heard so many goddamn horrible things about people being famous, and I'm like, I don't want to do that.
You're like, I don't care.
I listen to a podcast
like it.
to be like, fuck that. I don't want to be famous. There's a band I listen to called by the name of, I think it's AJR, and they go, I'm not famous or whatever. And it's about them being like, we're happy we're not famous, but they are because they're whatever. But it's just the idea, like, I don't want paparazzi don't follow me around. They don't give a shit about me, and I'm like, that's the life you want to live. But the problem is
just
that
love your art, you don't care.
Fuck, I wouldn't want to be followed around all day. That would drive me insane.
That'd drive me crazy, right?
I don't want people knowing what I do in my
no. But
I
yeah,
talk to myself. Like I do all kinds of weird shit. Like
for sure. And so like when I put them out, I said to myself, you know what? I have so many poems. I'm gonna just drop 2 albums in 1 year. Fuck it. And Nick, shout out one more time, Candid.
fuck yeah, man.
He's my producer, of course. You know, he's a longtime Bliss kid, as you know.
Hell yeah.
And he's a mastermind. And he created some fucking gorgeous tracks for me. And so we dropped the first 8 tracks, and then we dropped the other 8. It was April and then November of 2022. And I was like, you know what? I still have a fucking pile of shit that's like gorgeous and sitting collecting dust. I'm just gonna keep releasing it just so that it's out there. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. Last year, TuneCore sent me a check for $34. I didn't give a shit. I was like, cool.
Bro, take that shit and put it on your fucking wall and be like, this is it. This is
$34,
mine.
bitch.
Let's
I've been writing
go.
poetry since '99. I was like fresh out of high school.
I'd be proud of that. I'd be proud of that.
I don't
$34
give a
bucks.
damn. No, it wasn't even about that. I was
Be
like,
proud.
oh, why is there even money in here? Like,
what I'm
what?
saying.
I'm just putting it out there.
But that's how, in my opinion,
was
like
fun.
that's how it kind of should be.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel like a lot of times like, oh, I should get paid for my art, and I'm like, sometimes I'm like, I don't necessarily want to.
If you can, great.
If you can, be great.
Yeah,
But
there's
it's
all
not,
the
that's
ways.
Not the driving force. The
It's
driving
not.
force
No.
is to
If
be me.
you do art for money, you're in the wrong fucking business. Like, nobody signs up to be an artist because they want to be rich. Like, nobody. I mean, yeah, some people end up getting signed and famous, like Beyonce, whatever. But like, if you specifically are like, I want to be an artist so I can be a millionaire, you're doing it for the wrong shit. Like, you're not really an artist.
You know, it's never been about
Like,
the art.
you becoming rich and famous should be God's gift because you love your art so much. It shouldn't be the driving force for you to want to be an artist. I only want to be an artist because of the money. The fuck? Then no one's going to want to listen to your music because there's not going to be any passion behind it because you don't care about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like, I always tell my dancers, like, don't be headless. Don't be headless dancers. Like, nobody cares about somebody who can count to 8 and do fucking math on stage. Anybody can count to 8. These TikTokers are famous for stupid shit, calling themselves dancers. They're not fucking dancers, right? There's like all these trends, and it's just like no
Basic
real
ass,
training, no facial expression. It's just like, that's not real art. So I keep telling my dancers, like,
That's just reviews, man. That ain't for anything
if I
else.
can't sit in the audience and emote with you, you're not a performer. You're just a dancer. Those are 2 different things. Anybody can dance, but can you perform?
Right.
Can you perform? Can you emote? Can you make me feel what
That's
you're
the
feeling on
impressive part.
stage?
That's the impressive
That's
part
what's
to me.
impressive.
Yeah, I agree.
And because of my theater background, I push that on my dancers because I'm like, anybody can count to 8, dude. Like, who cares about your little steps?
Yeah.
Like, show me that this piece is words pouring out through your body because you can't say them. Show me that way, you know?
Yeah.
Super important, but, you know, everyone learns in their own ways.
Sure.
So-
Sure. So when you mentioned, you know, that you kind of were supposed to fit a mold before, you mentioned that when you were starting out, you had a lot of other things going on. Plus, your family kind of had like a track for you to go, you know.
Well, you know, that was the hope, but I wasn't like forced into anything like
Okay.
that. But, you know, just culturally, because I'm first generation American born. First gen. So my parents are from Palestine. And
Okay.
so, you know, they were born there, raised there, and then
Supportive
came
of
here.
it? They're supportive of what you're doing now? And
Absolutely. My dad passed a couple years ago, but he was always very supportive for the most part. I think they both, on and off, like yes and then no and then yes. And then as it got more successful, it was like, yeah, do your thing, whatever. Like, I was always really responsible and smart about how I handled shit. So like a lot of times it just got to a point where they were like, yeah, whatever, do your thing. That's, you know, that's your shit, like whatever. But yeah, you know, there was a lot of support here and there, but not always in the very beginning. And it was kind of like not really understanding it because, you know, they worked retail or they, you know, had business, you know, other types of things, but no one in our immediate families really was into the arts like that. I think my dad's brother, my uncle, was into theater at some point when he was younger, but it just wasn't a thing. And
Sure.
so here I come, motherfucking this bitch
You're
ass
that-
Virgo that's loud.
what's that you called it?
Who
You
wanted
said-
tattoos
you said
and
your rainbow. What was it? Like
black sheep, rainbow black sheep, tie-dyed.
Rainbow black sheep.
I
I
don't
like
know.
that.
You know, here I am. I want
broke the mold.
tattoos. I don't want children. I'm like, I want to be an artist and I want to own a dance studio and all the things. It's like, you know, I don't give a damn though. And I'm here to tell any Palestinian child who fears their parents' thoughts and opinions and is afraid to be who they are because of what the Arabs are going to think, is what we heard growing up. What will the Arabs think? I don't give a damn, motherfucker. I don't, because you know what? Like, what do you think about you? Like, that's what's more important, because like raising your children to be in this fearful state literally is going to just have them grow up and need therapy anyway. So like, allow them to be who they are to the fullest, regardless of the race, culture, background, anything. Just support your kids no matter who they are and what they want out of life. Like, the only thing that should matter is that your child is healthy and happy. Nothing else should matter at all. And so, like, pushing this idea of culture or, what you want for your kid, because maybe you couldn't do it or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
I can't understand that. And sure, I'm not a parent, so maybe I don't have the right to even say these things. But
Doesn't mean you can't have an opinion, okay?
But as a person who is a part of many villages and who's been helping raise children since I was probably 20 and I'm 41, I've seen it all. So here's the thing. I don't have my own 2 children, right? So let's just say somebody. Here's the thing, though. Yeah. People who have 2 kids, they know they're 2 kids. I've dealt with hundreds of children, all shapes, all sizes, all personalities, all mental issues, right? I've seen it all. And there's certain things that people who only have their couple kids have never seen. So I come from a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? Sure. And so anyway, but I don't know why I'm ranting, but I just started ranting.
I like it. I like it too.
I just love people, and I just support people, and I just want people to be in a good space. And like you said earlier about anxiety, and I'm going to say this out loud, and some people may disagree. Anxiety comes from fear, correct?
Yes.
But fear does not come from God or the universe. Fear is a negative feeling. So where else would it stem from? Think about that.
I mean, fear to me, when I think about the interpretation of it, it's a lack of understanding. A lack of understanding of how to either process or deal with it.
Which is a mental thing.
Correct.
Which means fear is self-given, and so is anxiety.
Yeah, it is.
It is not hereditary to have anxiety. It is not some disease passed along in your family line. It is in the mind.
Yeah, it manifests in your mind. It's what
in
happens.
The mind, which means if you work on the mind, that it'll go away.
Correct.
And if you work on your spirituality and open up your mind and release fear and release those negative thoughts, anxiety has nowhere to live. It has nothing to feed on.
I get that, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, because being somebody who suffers from anxiety himself, I deal with that quite a bit. But with what I've been on doing this last few months, lost like 25 pounds, got back on my diet, doing a lot of good things.
Slim.
Yeah, I'm looking slimmer.
Slim D.
But
that's your new nickname. That's your rap name.
Slim D.
Slim D on the mic.
Okay. Well, okay. I guess Slim D works. But ultimately, you're right. The mind is right. That's what it comes down to, is the mind.
Everything.
But then there's weird things about the mind, how it works. Like some days you'll just be off. You'd be like, man, just to roll the dice, and you're like, man, I'm all fucked up today. And it's just
why though? Where's that coming from, right? But then what do you do with that?
Right.
Do you take it and go, my whole day is fucked up, or do you go, this 5 minutes is fucked up?
Right. Turn a bad day into a bad hour.
Right.
That's a phrase I've learned from many of bosses, and turn a bad day to a bad hour.
Because here's the thing, like, if there's something in your mind that you're not dealing with, it's gonna show up where? In your body. Mm-hmm. If your mind has dis-ease, your body has disease.
Yeah.
Straight up. So as you work on the mind, and let's just say you have an illness, God forbid, and you go around telling people, I'm sick. I'm sick.
Right.
I'm sick. 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 Then you're going to fucking be sick. Yeah. But do you have to claim that illness? Or you can take your power back. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
There's so much you could do to shift. Like, we're not here to be miserable, in my opinion. But people choose to live miserably, regardless. Like, they think everything's happening to them instead of for them.
Well, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. There is someone else out there going through exactly what you're going through. You are not the only human being in this world.
For sure.
We all experience things the same. whether we're from different religions, different colors, different areas of the world, we all
Right.
go through the same thing in this world.
Fact.
So sitting there saying I'm going through this, you guys don't know my problem. Yeah,
We all go through
unfortunately
shit.
we all do.
And we all have the choice to react or respond.
Right. Right.
So,
And
I can preach all day about it,
no,
but
no,
like,
I got you. And
you feel it.
I appreciate you for what you mean and what you represent, and as well as the message you convey.
Mm.
And I this is one of the points where I would like to talk about more about your company and what it's doing in all its glory. So what you guys can see on the page right now is her actual website, where you can go through and see kind of her testimony in a way of what she does. And when I was reading this, and not to shift, because I love all the things you're saying.
Yeah,
by the
for
way,
sure. No,
I'm
we're
all
good.
about that life. Okay?
I can do it all day.
No, it's great. No, I love it. That's why I like hanging out and talking to you, because we never get to hang out and talk.
For
it's always just business
quick.
or quick, or you look fantastic in a dress, and I'm like, okay, I got it. And you're like, you're playing first. I'm like, oh, okay, all right, I'll play first.
Shit, I did that to you.
Yeah, and that's but I get a chance to sit down and talk to you. So it's really fun. But first and foremost, guys, on here, her testimony goes through all the stuff, her background, where she started with everything. And what got me was like this long ass list of all these amazing things. I actually
That's
pulled
just
up.
some, man.
I actually pulled up
crazy.
your Good Morning Sacramento thing and watched it a couple times before you came over,
Oh,
just to kind of get back into it. I was just like so blown away about, how you represent yourself, especially when it comes to your students and your business.
For sure.
There's no lack of confidence. You really drive that, and I like that. I like that about you. It's an attractive quality you have.
Thank you.
And I like that. But I mean, talk about this and what's going on here, because you got a lot of really cool things on here, and I want people to hear about it so they can we can promote it more and get more people involved.
Yeah, Bliss Urban Art Center. We're here in Vacaville, California. We have a recreational program, which is for, basic, for the little itty bitties 3 and up, beginners, intermediate, teen classes. And then after they get through intermediate and they want to join the company, they can come audition. And the company has all these team names here. You see Baseline is the most elite. And then there's Rhythm Records, which is like the next most advanced. And then Beat Wreckers, and then the littles are Beat Rascals. And then we have an all-boy squad, Intricate. We have an adult team, Cloud9, and a contemporary lyrical team, Soul Vitality. So those are all our teams, and, different ages and levels. So everybody's welcome to audition. As long as they have some experience, they can join the company. And the company, like I said earlier, competes throughout the year, but does more so performances, paid gigs, and all of that. We have like a yearly contract. Kids have to keep their grades up just to even be on the team. Behavior is a huge thing. Respect and discipline, all that's a huge thing. So it's a great extracurricular activity if you want your kids to have discipline and learn a craft. We love it. And we also have like rental space at Bliss. Like we have people that sublet. So we have Zumba classes with my sister Miranda. We have ballet folklorico. I gotta say that properly. They're on Sundays. We have Muay Thai, Audacious Muay Thai. They're there a couple days a week. So we have people that rent space and run their own programs too. But our main programs are the rec program and Bliss Dance Company. Eventually, I want to buy a building. I want to own my own building. I want to have the massage. I do massage on the side as well. For those of you who don't know, I've been doing massage for 3 years, and I'm also a 2nd degree Reiki practitioner, so I do energy healing. Cool. But I'd like to have the massage business inside the building I own for Bliss one day, where I can have it as a rental facility, rehearsals. We can throw events like Word Still, do all the things, but also have a massage room on the side, and I can have my separate office. And then even hopefully have an apartment on top or on the side and live there. Hey, why not, right? Pay 1 mortgage instead of 2 rents. But ideally, so I keep putting that out into the universe because I'm trying to manifest that, because I've been working with the city and trying to see what we can work out. The city folks are really awesome. So that's my goal moving forward, is to get a bigger space so I can do more. Because right now I'm in a space where I share with 3 other businesses, and it works, but it's just challenging. And my second room's not big enough to hold a big class. And so in order to do more, I have to try to get more to do more. So that's what I'm hoping for in the near future. Hey, she's pretty. Who's that?
Hey,
girl.
Well, Let's go.
Bad bitch.
Yeah, I want to shout
Oh,
out
that's
your.
one of my favorite tracks right there.
I was gonna say
That
there's
one's
a lot. There's a
powerful.
lot of really good stuff on here, but at
Thank
the
you
same
so
time, I
much.
wanna help promote that
I
as
gotta get
much
my
as I possibly
followers on
can.
SoundCloud up. That's
Like, what's going
trash,
on
bro.
here,
You
bro?
don't even follow me. Fuck you, bro. What is this? It says right there, follow.
I'm not even signed in. What are you talking about? I'm not even
talking
signed in
shit.
yet,
I'm
so I don't want to
talking
hear it.
shit.
I
You're
just
good.
pulled it up, so don't even
No,
start.
you're good. I'm just messing around. Yeah, I don't really push my SoundCloud like that, but it's a good way to just listen to everything if you don't have Apple Music or Spotify. Spotify
Right.
was tripping on me anyway, so it's all my tracks are right there. But there's 16 of them that are out to the world, and got more on the way.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing all those too.
Yes. Have you heard any of these yet?
I have. Well, no, you performed a lot of these. I don't know if you released the new
At
one,
both Words
but
events.
I have heard both of them all the way through. A couple of them, like I said, I like quite a bit. I like your. There's one you do, and I can't think of the name. It's when you're really, really aggressive and you're just talking shit.
Oh, you ain't shit,
you ain't
probably.
Shit. Yeah, that's what and I was like, oh, I like that one so much because
She's
you just
such a
like you just real as
Get
fuck,
it.
and you're just like, that's good. Like,
Yeah, I don't
fuck
give a
you.
fuck.
This I just like that. I like that side to you. I know.
Yeah,
I
I told you 50% namaste, 50% I don't give a fuck.
I like that side. I like that side. I like
both.
I like this.
I'm sweet and tender.
I know. I like the balance. I like the darkness. Just
That's dark to you?
When I see a girl, one of the things that I look for is not necessarily see the good side, because that's the side you're gonna see. She's
gonna show you her representative.
Yeah,
right.
You're always gonna see the best version of somebody.
Somebody
when you first
first, right?
But I have to. What I look for is like I want to see the darkness in you, because that's
You call
gonna
that
be-
darkness?
Yeah, I want to see the darkness in you in
Okay.
a way, because that's gonna be the side that I'm gonna deal with.
If I'm with you, or if
80
I'm,
80% of the
anything,
time.
as a
Yeah,
friend, as whatever. Yeah.
That's the side I want to see. I don't want to see you all nice and buttery, and I
Yeah.
want to see like that, or I want to see you like fucking, like kind of ruthless in a way. To see
Yeah,
how
no,
that's
fuck
gonna
yeah.
be.
See how you get down.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Real recognizes real. So that's
Gang.
that's my concept.
I love it.
But listen, I have always appreciated everything you've done. To be a part of Words, to be a part of a thing that you kind of developed, and to see it grow and to be a part of it, it's just been an amazing experience. To the people I've met, when I met Ryder, I met Jarrell. I met everyone. I met Nick. There's countless other artists that I met at that event where I've had the first time I ever performed there. I had a guy, take a picture with me and say, "Hey, dude, you're gonna be famous one day." And I'm like, "That's crazy." There's multiple artists. This last one of the guys reached out to me and said he wants me to feature in one of his EPs, and I'm like, "That'd be great. I'd love to do that."
And I love that I was able to provide an event that does that for people.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that I think that to take away from this is it gives people an opportunity.
Yes.
Even if they're not at the level and I shouldn't say they think they are, because I'm my biggest critic. So I'm always going to be like, I could do better. I could always do better. Right. But there's a certain point where you have to just put yourself out there and go for it.
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever's going to happen. It's so important. It's so important to do those and take those risks,
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. I like what you're doing, and I want you to, and I only wish you the best on that journey. And if there's anything I can do to help support you on that journey, I got you.
Man, just this alone, is helping push my brand.
I wanted to. Well, first of all, I'm going to be kind of selfish here. I just wanted to sit down and talk to you for a little bit. I'm not
it's
lie,
good. We've been meaning
I never get a chance to actually just sit down and talk to you for a minute.
For
It's
sure.
very, very fortunate to actually do that. And
yeah, thank you.
every one
Same
of
to
the
you.
podcasts I have with your students or children, as you like to say, they're always like, "Yeah, dude, good luck." Like, she's so hard.
She's so busy.
She's so busy.
Fuck
right?
them.
I mean,
I'll get to it. I swear.
But they all mean well. They all care, and that's the biggest thing. You've done a lot with your career, especially with your music, and I look forward to seeing what you do in the future with any endeavors you come across, and any challenges you face. I'm sure you're gonna hit them. You're gonna hit them head on, and I know you're gonna find your spot. Once you get your spot, man, it's because the sky's the limit.
Sky's the limit.
I really
Do the
appreciate it.
damn
I really
thing.
appreciate you being here today.
Thank
and
you.
sitting down and talking to me.
I
Where can we
appreciate
find
this
where can people
platform.
find all your stuff on social media?
Yeah.
What's the
Bliss Mama Faye, BLISSMAMAFAE is my Instagram, and Bliss Urban Arts Center is the Instagram for Bliss. And then we're also on TikTok, both same names. Twitter, same names. Facebook, you can just type in Bliss Urban Art Center or type in my full name, which is right there on the screen. You can find my music by typing in my full name on every music platform pretty much. Twitter, what I say, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. We're on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel. It's Bliss Vacaville, Bliss Dance Co. Vacaville. We're even on Yelp. Even my massage therapy is on there. If you want to book a massage, you can just hit me up on my website. Our blissurbanartcenter.com website has my contact info for everything dance related, but also for massage. What else? Poetry, massage, all things Bliss.
You got a lot going on. I'm telling you, you always have so much going on.
Our next event, our biggest event of the year, Bliss Dance Company just turned 19 years old, so we're having our 19th annual showcase Saturday, February 25th, and that's at the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater. We have a 2 o'clock show and a 7 o'clock show. It's one you don't want to miss. It's the one I put the most effort into every year. It's my most important show of the year. My kids put on a phenomenal show. We have comedy, we have sad, happy, you'll laugh. It's just so much talent, and it's just such a great, phenomenal 2.5 hour production. It's like it is a professional production that you do not want to miss. It's amazing. It's not just some rinky-dink recital. It really is not that, and I stand on that. So like really, y'all really, if you enjoy art or if you liked what you heard today or you fuck with who I am as a human being, you do not want to miss that show. I mean that. But after that, our new season starts up, and then we're just back in flow. Next month, we're going to have a words event, so I hope you're going to come out and perform.
Well, you know it. I will be on the docket. Just hopefully you don't put me first.
No, I won't.
Because that was what you said last time. Like, hey, Derek, you're going to go first.
Fuck it. Because you be hyping people up, and they get juiced when, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Thank you very much, Faye, for your time. I appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Derek Friends Podcast. I'm your host as always. Make sure if you have not hit that subscribe button, make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Show your love. Faye, once again, thank you so much for your time, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night, guys.
Love y'all.